Are you ready?
Jamie Markley, David Van Camp, and Scott Robbins.
We just become best friends. Yep.
Making sense of it all.
Now I get it.
And having some fun.
Lighten up, Francis.
This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show.
The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley is on special assignment. Thank you so much for being here on this Friday. We made it to the end of the week. I know there's a lot of talk about the Trump indictment and arraignment and everything that went on yesterday, but there is, honestly, to me, bigger news that's happened. Because at this point, it's like, okay, Trump indicted for the third time. All right, okay. How many times am we going to hear, mainstream media types just go, try to give their dramatic monologues and, this courthouse is just in the shadow of the Capitol. But
you know what I'm wondering, because I'm a sports fan, I'm big into records, right? Records, like most points, most yards, most home runs, that kind of stuff. Most times indicted in a year.
For a public official?
Yeah, I mean, Trump has to hold that record, doesn't he?
Well, for president, certainly.
We're at 3
for former presidents. Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I mean, even if you weren't, indicted 3 times in a year. I mean, geez, man.
But there's a bigger story to me, and it involves the current president of the United States. Tucker Carlson dropped another part of his interview with Hunter Biden's old pal, Devin Archer.
Oh, yeah.
This is the guy who testified on Capitol Hill behind closed doors earlier this week, saying, well, yeah, I mean, Joe was, somewhat involved in the business. He was certainly on phone calls with prospective clients and business associates. So the fact that Joe Biden has maintained he never spoke to his kid about business, well, that's a lie. And Devin Archer, in this clip you're about to hear, confirms that. Well, yeah, it was a lie. Tucker Carlson starts this off saying, bringing up this idea that Joe Biden knew absolutely nothing about what was going on with Hunter Biden behind the scenes.
Right.
There's no corruption here at all. This is totally normal. Joe Biden had no role whatsoever in his son's business or knowledge of it. But
right.
That seems false.
Yeah, I think that's categorically false. I think that he was aware of Hunter's business. He met with Hunter's business partners. You found a letter that illustrates that he knew me.
And he's thanking you. He's thanking you for his efforts.
So I think that was, I think
for your efforts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's not factually right.
So to me now, the question for the White House, and the White House has been noticeably silent on this, and that's probably for the best, because they've been caught in at least one lie, and then you have to wonder what other lies have they told regarding Joe's involvement in his son's business. The question to me is not anything about the details and asking the White House or Joe Biden himself about the details of what he knew and when he knew it and what his role was and all of that. The question is simpler than this, or than that. Why did you say that you never spoke to your son about his business? Why did you say that?
Yeah.
That's the opening statement. That's the opening question. Why did you say that you never spoke to Hunter about his business? Why did you yell at Peter Doocy on the campaign trail? Ask the right question, he yelled at the Fox News reporter. Why did you not admit that, we talked occasionally, but I wasn't involved in the business? Because, look, take a step back. If he has a conversation with his kid about who he's doing business with and giving him some advice and whatnot, you could say that looks unseemly given what Hunter Biden was up to. But you could probably wriggle out of that and say, but, I wasn't telling him, I wasn't promising any favors for his business partners. I wasn't, helping him out. It was more just as a father and son, we were having casual conversations because I wanted to know what was going on in his life.
Right.
And you could understand that, but he vehemently for years denied that he ever even spoke to his kid about his business. So then the question is why? Why were you worried about admitting that you'd had conversations about his business? What else aren't you telling us now?
Mm-hmm.
that's the central question, and their answer will tell us a lot, whether it's Karine Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mellencamp Pierre, whatever, or Joe Biden himself. I mean, every person in this administration should be asked that question. Hey, HHS Secretary Javier, I almost called him Baccaria, because that's what Joe called him, Javier Becerra. Hey, Javier, why do you could you tell us at all why Joe Biden said he was never involved in this? And, Becerra may not have any knowledge of it, but at least get him on the record and look at his reaction to it. I mean, that's the number one question for everybody involved in this White House right now is why did Joe say he never spoke to his kid about his business? Because obviously that's not true.
No, it is not true.
Yeah,
no.
Obviously he did talk about the business. So that's to me that's a bigger story than another Trump indictment. But of course, another Trump indictment, I guess you can still say historic indictment, historic election interference, in my opinion. I know I'm not alone there. After being arraigned yesterday in D.C., Donald Trump, he gave a quick statement, and here it is in full. This is all he said.
This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much, everyone.
I mean, that is what it is. It is an absolute persecution. It's saying we are going to use a whole of government approach to taking down the guy who the professional political class didn't like. And it is a sad day for America. And I kind of shake my head whenever I hear liberals saying that, because they're pretending to not be overjoyed that Donald Trump has been arrested again.
They are?
They're pretending, in some cases, like as they were following the motorcade into the courthouse. And I want to say
the somber moment, yes. Okay.
This is a sad day for America.
Right.
The President of the United States. They're all trying to act like it's a serious thing.
Right.
But no, this is about the public humiliation of a political enemy. And on the part of the media, it's they love the public humiliation of a guy who called them out for being the hacks that they are. And they feel personally attacked by Donald Trump, and they gave him a case of the SADS, and that's why they hate him. And they don't really care what the charges are.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't think what comes around goes around, I mean, although I don't have a lot of faith in the idiots that are Republicans even that are doing this, you got to go exactly have to use their playbook and do the same stuff over and over again until it stops.
Well,
you have to let people know we're not going to take this lying down. We're going to come after your guy. We feel like the charges we have against him are much more egregious than you currently have against Trump, and we're going to make sure that everybody knows about it. We'll keep yelling from the mountaintops as long as we can. We'll do all the legal, haggling we can possibly do. Yeah. But you got to do it. You got to follow through on it. Well, you got to set out concrete plans to say, here's how we're going to impeach Biden. We're going to do it starting today.
And to me, it's not even just up to congressional Republicans. Where's the conservative version of Alvin Bragg?
No, you're right.
The Manhattan DA, who was the first one to indict Donald Trump. Where's that guy?
Well, you got to stop saying we're above the fray, where we don't play games that way, and all that. You have to. The rules have changed.
Right.
The rules of engagement have changed, and it's time you got caught up here.
This is a street fight where everything below the belt is available to you. Yes. And you're the guy getting your crotch stomped on the sidewalk saying, "But I am honorable. I took boxing classes."
Stop with all that crap.
No. It's time to start throwing some dirt, all right?
Yeah.
You got to go. Do it.
Absolutely, you have to.
Meanwhile, this is a real kick in the teeth. New York City is getting $104 million from FEMA to set up shelters for illegal immigrants. Now, why this is a kick in the teeth is this. That's the largest share of money from the new shelter services program that was created by Congress. So you have this new program that is aimed at providing shelter to people here illegally or here who are like technically legal under new administrative rules from the Biden administration because they love the open border system. And New York City is getting the lion's share of the money. Not South Texas, not Arizona. No. It's got to be New York City. Now, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, she used to be a Democrat, but now is an independent because, well, left-wing lunatics kept chasing her into the bathroom and whatnot. She did a first responders roundtable in Arizona, where she's from, and she is ticked. Just before I play the clip, I want to give you a quick note. She made a little mistake. She says the Speaker of the House is from New York. She's referring to the top Democrat in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. He's the House Minority Leader. Mm-hmm. The Speaker of the House is Kevin McCarthy, a Republican who's from California. But she just mixed up the titles here. But her point, I think, is still very, very valid. Here she is.
My staff is going to be really upset, but I'm going to tell you the truth here. The reason the money is going to New York is because the Speaker of the House is from New York, and the Leader of the United States Senate is from New York. That is how a bunch of money went to New York. The money was intended, and there's language that was put in the law that said it should be going for decompression at the border. So when I hear from folks in other parts of the country say, oh, it's hard, our shelters are overwhelmed. Yeah, come live a day in the life of Yuma, Somerton, or San Luis. Just one day. So I get kind of upset about this.
We like your
as
passion.
you can tell.
Thank you.
So I want you to know that I'm continuing to fight this, and I am livid that the administration is sending money to a part of the country that, while it has a lot of folks showing up in their shelter, they don't have folks wandering the streets of our small towns and communities or facing, heat exhaustion, showing up without, basics like formula, people who come across the border with chicken pox. What we're experiencing here in Arizona is matched only by what folks are experiencing in southern Texas. Those are the two communities that are experiencing this crisis. The rest of the country is seeing some elements of it, but we are facing the brunt.
Yeah. And that's all fine and good, but she, supported Joe Biden. So it kind of rings a little hollow unless she's saying, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, I don't care if it's Ron DeSantis, I don't care if it's Chris Christie or anybody else. If she's not willing to go out there and say, I am going to support whoever the Republican candidate is for president in 2024, that's hollow language. That being said, at least somebody who is on the left is acknowledging that there's a problem and is calling it out for the BS it is that New York is getting such preferential treatment over the communities that are directly impacted by Biden's border crisis.
I think you can always regret a vote.
Yeah.
But I think you have to telegraph that. You have to say, I regret it. Mm-hmm. And again, getting back to your initial, reaction to it. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, you can talk all day about this stuff. We know what's happening. Yeah. We know how awful it is in Yuma. We know how awful it is in South Texas. We know all these things, right? But the fact of the matter is, it is political, and it is New York that's going to get the lion's share of the money. Although every city in New York advertised they were open for business.
Yep.
Come on in, migrants. You got no problems here. Mm-hmm. Not knowing or not thinking it would ever happen to them, and then it did.
Yep.
Like every time I hear Eric Adams bitching about the fact that they don't have any room anymore, I'm like, well, hey, jackass, you had your hand up. Sanctuary city. We don't turn people away. We're not evil. We're not mean like those people in Texas or Arizona.
Yeah.
So, okay, and it happens to you, and now you're bitching that you don't have enough resources. That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, again, how many bads are there, Scott?
Yeah, 1, 2. Too bad.
Too bad.
Too bad.
All right.
Too bad. And again, it's not, and I don't want to see any of the suffering going on because of it. Nobody does. But the idea is we know what causes the problem, and we refuse to solve it.
Yeah.
Refuse to.
Yeah. All right.
Because it wasn't our problem. Our constituents didn't have a problem because it didn't affect them. Now it's affecting them. We'll see how the worm turns now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right. So on a lighter note, I love good news stories like this. Crime is out of control in the city of Oakland, and more people are arming themselves because they know no one's coming to help them. Well, the other night, a couple of dudes broke into a 75-year-old woman's house and found out that, well, she had a .357 Magnum on her nightstand.
Hey, now.
She
Whoa.
fired at them. Boom! Little hand cannon action there.
Wow.
They fired back, ran out. KTVU talked to neighbors and the woman's daughter, and everybody is just smiling ear to ear, like, yeah, I guess they're going to think twice before they start breaking into people's homes in this neighborhood.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She had the presence of mind to reach in her nightstand and get a weapon. And she had it under the covers at first, and then when she saw an opening, she fired a shot.
This woman is a hero. I really admire her. She kept her wits about her.
It's amazing. She is a superwoman. People in Oakland, we're tired of the lawlessness. People are standing up. People are fighting back.
They're really playing with with their lives, because all these people around here are armed.
All these people got guns.
Yeah, get the word out. Yeah.
Let everybody know.
Heck yeah.
You might get aerated a little bit if you try to break into somebody's house.
Stop voting for these idiots that promote this sort of behavior.
Absolutely.
Stop it.
You won't believe this. Coming up, CNN is back on the Russia stuff.
Okay.
It's amazing. We'll get to it next. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley on special assignment. He'll be back on Monday. All right, so we'll get to an update or another angle to the Trump indictment in just a moment. But I this just crossed my desk, and it is insane. Okay? So the Washington Post has an article out today that blames anti-gay sentiment in Middle Eastern countries on Republicans in America.
I knew it. I don't know how they're going to get there, but I saw this. Yes.
As they write, across the Middle East, LGBTQ communities face a growing crackdown, echoing efforts by prominent American conservatives to restrict the rights of gay and transgender people and erase their influence from society.
Who's doing that?
Yeah,
Who's doing that?
Sorry, but a lot of these theocracies or theocracy-light nations in the Middle East are Muslim majority, and they don't really look too kindly upon the gay community, and they haven't for a long time. I mean, it's not just a flippant saying when we talk about gays being tossed off of roofs. That actually happens.
Yeah, it does.
People get executed for being gay.
Who are the Republicans that are doing this?
That are saying, let's kill gay people?
Yeah. Who's doing that? Nobody's saying that.
Nobody's saying...
To try to connect the dots there is ridiculous.
And who's out there saying we should criminalize homosexuality in America?
Nobody's saying that. No one is.
What mainstream or high-profile Republican? I'm not talking about some weirdo on YouTube. I'm saying, like, what actual policymaker in America is saying, you know what we need to do? We need to criminalize homosexuality, and we need to make it a death penalty eligible crime. Nobody in America. And it's not like the Middle East has never been hostile towards gay people. It's absurd what's happening here. One story is mentioned here. The Turkish government cracked down on a pride parade this year, but they've been doing that for the last several years, actually. The government turned water cannons on the parade starting back in 2015. By 2018, they were using rubber bullets and tear gas to stop the parades. Not a new thing.
No.
Has Ron DeSantis deployed tear gas on a pride event? No. The only
we've talked about this before, David, but it's true. All you have to do is deviate a little bit from the ideology or theology of that group, and you are deemed a homophobe.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Or on par with some of the worst human rights abusers in the Middle East.
Yes. You're the same person.
Come on.
Because you don't think it's okay for a 12-year-old to have their genitals mutilated.
Yeah, and the Taliban didn't want women to be covered head to toe all the time when they're in public until Roe v. Wade was overturned.
That's it. Yes.
Dude, this is a mind virus, dude. What we're up against is an entire class of pundits and policymakers who are actually insane. Who actually don't, and I'm not saying that as a missive, I mean they are actually crazy, because you have to be actually crazy to try to make the argument that the reason hostilities towards gay people in the Middle East exist is because Florida banned sex change operations for children.
and removed books from children's libraries that contained, oral sex.
Yeah.
As part of the curriculum.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and Lebanon was another example, by the way, because apparently the head of Hezbollah isn't a fan of the gays and thinks gay people should be executed. Didn't talk like that. Hezbollah was leading the Pride Parade until Ron DeSantis became governor.
Yeah.
Again, you have to be mentally ill to actually believe this.
And it's amazing this stuff is going on right now with the Taliban because the world is watching.
Right. All this. Maybe we should try another sternly worded letter.
That's right. To the Taliban. Hey, knock it off, huh?
Yeah. Well, what was pointed out in the article that I read at Hot Air reacting to this was, they didn't mention Palestine, which criminalizes homosexuality as well.
Uh-huh.
But the Palestinians are the good guys because they're anti-Semites and they hate Israel. That's the left's position. They hate the Jews and think that Jewish people don't deserve any sort of homeland in the Middle East. And so, we'll overlook the blatant homophobia of the Palestinian Authority and in an effort to try to own conservatives in America. It's just dumb. All right, so the media, meanwhile, desperately wants cameras in the courtroom whenever Donald Trump goes to trial over the latest indictment, which the latest indictment, as we talked about, has to do with his claims of voter fraud in the 2020 election. And all of this really proves the simple premise of what this really is about. It's not about justice. It's not about anything. It's about the public, ritualistic humiliation of Donald Trump.
Yep. That's
what they want. So they want the cameras out there. They want the cameras in the courtroom. And currently, federal courtrooms don't allow cameras. Ellie Honig on CNN is demanding cameras in the courtroom. We must see Donald Trump suffer right now.
I'm putting the pressure on. I don't use this platform to get on the soapbox, but this has to be covered in a modern, transparent fashion.
Just a quick side note about using your platform here.
Yeah.
More people just heard his voice on this program than they did on CNN.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a fact, and it's
we
really
have the
not
receipts
even close.
on that too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to just pat myself on the back. It's
but you're right.
It's more just to make fun of this guy. Like, I'm going to use my platform to pressure a federal judge to do what I want.
It'd be ludicrous. Trial of the century.
You're not saying that just from a TV standpoint.
No, actually, I'm glad you. Q score will way up. I am saying that yes, from a TV standpoint, but the American people have to see this. The American people cannot be seeing. If we don't have cameras in the courtroom, here's what we're going to have. Yeah. We're going to have young reporters running in and out of that courtroom, texting us, trying to recount what happens. 2 or 3 hours after the end of every trial day, we'll get a 300-page transcript that some court reporter typed up, and we'll get sketch drawings. It's not 1918 here. It's 2023. We need to get with it.
Yeah, we'll have these young and experienced reporters. Well, all right, champ, you go in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other part of this. Like, okay, you can also go in there and cover the trial if you can't trust it to the little kids who don't know what's going on. But again, it's about making as much of a show out of this as possible to humiliate Donald Trump. It's not about any sort of sense of justice or trying to rectify a wrongdoing. It's they don't like him. Orange man bad. He's guilty of something, and therefore he must be taken down.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating. And personally, I don't really have a problem one way or the other with having cameras in the courtroom. I'm fairly neutral on it, even if I'm conflicted.
Yeah, this isn't up to us, though.
No, it's not up to us.
Yeah, it's not up to us. So nobody cares what we think.
No,
that's the law, and that's the way it's done.
Yeah, it is just the way it's done.
So jackwagons like him can get on and whine about,
right, exactly.
Cub reporters in there. Yeah.
Right. All right. It's that time of the show. We go around the table and talk about a story that caught your eye. May not be the biggest story of the day, but the story you wanted to share. It's called What's Your Story? Scott, what's your story today?
Well, not entirely sure what NBC's senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell thought was so important yesterday about Donald Trump, but she did point it out to the rest of us. Kelly tweeted out... Oh, gosh. A clear sign he is not president anymore. Despite all the motorcades and perks, his plane has to wait 10 taxi. Air Force One gets immediate clearance.
Oh. Okay.
These people are so stupid.
Pretty sure we're all well aware that he's not president anymore.
Yeah, what a complete loser. He owns his own 757. Damn him.
He has to wait a few minutes before takeoff.
Can you hear yourself at all, Kelly O'Donnell? Do you hear what you're saying?
It's every angle. These are broken people.
So
they are.
Does your plane you're on, Kelly, have to taxi? Huh? Does it?
Air Force One gets immediate takeoff.
Well, you got him on that one. Ouch.
Yeah,
that hurt.
Darn. Darn the line.
Golly.
Can't believe it. Man.
That's unreal.
You know, until I heard that, I thought Donald Trump was still president.
Yeah. Who knew,
Weird.
right?
I had no idea.
He has to wait to taxi? What?
Well, that must mean he's not president anymore.
Jesus, he lost some power. Yes.
Golly,
Jeez,
it's
man.
not like Elvis out there, carting out his own amps.
Right, I know. Right.
Golly. All right, it's What's Your Story? Story that caught your eye may not be the biggest story of the day, but we like to go around and share. This story caught my eye. It's summer, of course. We've heard how hot it's been. There have been heat waves all over the country and whatnot. So apparently, it's been so hot this summer that some watermelons are turning into deadly ticking time bombs.
Oh, they're blowing up.
Yeah, the heat.
Yes.
So how this works is the heat causes the fruit inside to ferment. And if that happens, you'll see frothy foam bubbling out of the watermelon. Basically, it's a combination of bacteria, the fruit's natural sugars, and above average temperatures, both where they grow and where they're being stored. So it kind of ferments, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like it's becoming alcoholic, but it's not. It's dangerous. It can kill you if you eat it. And also it, can explode, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if this is just like, this isn't some sort of like Ghost Gallagher bit. I mean, but I wonder what it looks like when it explodes. Does it actually just go poof?
I put a watermelon in the building. You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, TSA isn't going to allow you to carry that watermelon
on the plane.
Yeah, it could be a terrorist device.
Jeez,
you
man.
never know. Wow, man. I just thought that was a crazy story. I've never heard of exploding watermelons before.
I mean, you have like with grapes, if you place it, like I did a science fair experiment one time. I mean, seriously, with like alcohol, and I put grape juice, old grape juice that I had found canned in my grandmother's basement in a bottle, and the cork blew off of it because it had fermented.
Yeah.
Which was I was kind of hoping it would because you're 14 and want to have a little drinky poo. No, but I mean, you understand it with watermelon. I mean, they do. I've never seen it happen personally, but man, I'd like to.
My brother, when he was in college, getting his undergrad, roomed with a guy who had been to prison.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like violent.
That in of itself is a great story.
Yeah, he'd been to prison. And my brother was really interested in learning how to make prison wine. In one of the closets in their little apartment, they had a jug of like grape juice that was fermenting or whatever. And I would never in a million years have drunk that. Ever.
No.
But yeah, I think the review was a complicated bouquet. But if you're desperate enough, it will get you intoxicated.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're locked up, you can't go down to the liquor store,
Right, exactly. Toilet wine.
You got to do what you do.
There's a reason they don't sell that at the liquor store.
Right.
In an old plastic bag. Yeah. All right, we got a news update on the way. Dianne Feinstein's daughter has power of attorney, but she's still in the Senate.
Unreal.
This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley is on special assignment. He'll be back on Monday. Well, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. Senator Dianne Feinstein, who's old and sick and senile. I mean that literally. I mean, there's a lot of colleagues and people who work for her who have said that she is not with it. Like, she can't remember people's names. She can't remember what she was talking about.
We just saw that with the vote on the floor.
Yeah, where she was just supposed to
told
vote.
her what to do.
Yeah,
and she started into some dissertation. And whoa, wait a minute.
And they said, just say
stop the rambling. Yeah.
Well, apparently her daughter now is exercising power of attorney over her finances. So there's been this. she has one biological daughter. There are a few stepchildren, I believe, like 3. Is that right?
Yeah, I think.
Stepchildren. And there's some bitter property dispute, a house, a piece of property that Dianne wants to sell and the other kids don't or something. And so right now her daughter is exercising her legal authority to make financial decisions on behalf of her mother.
Yes.
And yet she herself, Dianne Feinstein herself, is allowed to make decisions on behalf of Californians. That's a problem, man.
Well, yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah.
She's gotta go. I know that they're trying to just basically run out the clock on her. I know she's not seeking re-election next year, so they're saying, well, she's going to be out of office anyway. It is just really sad what Democrats do to people when they are obviously not able to do the job. It's like, well, she'll be a reliable vote. We'll tell her how to vote, and that's fine. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. And what they're really sending, the message that they're really sending is it doesn't matter who you elect because everybody else makes decisions anyway. They just vote the way that we tell them to vote. So, yeah, if we need to do Weekend at Bernie's with her, then we'll do Weekend at Bernie's with her.
But they are doing it.
And they are doing it. Yeah, they're wheeling her in, man.
Yeah.
It is. The whole thing, the more you pay attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C., the more you feel like there aren't enough showers in the world to clean off the filth that gets on you.
I need to ask you, too, just really, seriously, what other job on the planet, I mean, what other job, period, no matter what it is, could Dianne Feinstein apply for and get today?
None.
Other than the one she has.
No,
there are none. There are none.
No.
And that's no fault of hers.
I mean,
she's 90 years old, man.
Yeah.
She's the fact. I mean, what job could John Fetterman get?
Not many.
I mean, what?
It'd be tough.
This is where we are.
Yeah.
They can represent the constituency, but they can't work at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
It's insanity.
Meanwhile, another lawmaker, not senile like Joe and not senile like Dianne Feinstein, but certainly sometimes comes across that way, is Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, that's just dense. Yeah.
Got some new audio from Vice President Kamala Harris, and it has to do with roads and bridges and the detrimental effects that they have on your tires.
No, I have not heard this.
All right, here we go.
When was this?
This is fresh audio.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
People are tired of being required to travel over potholes and bridges that are breaking down, and it's expensive when all your tires, when you lose your tires are ended up being flat because of those roads and bridges. People.
Yeah, I don't have.
These are people who haven't driven themselves in years.
Never.
So, I mean,
listen to her talk about it. It's awkward for her even to talk about it.
I mean, yeah, like potholes and flat tires, and that's what you people are worried about, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the
Flat
Markley
tire lobby.
This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show.
Are you ready?
Jamie Markley, David Van Camp, and Scott Robbins.
We just become best friends. Yep.
Making sense of it all.
Now I get it.
And having some fun.
Lighten up, Francis.
This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show.
The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley is on special assignment. He'll be back on Monday. Congratulations. We all made it to Friday. So after being arraigned yesterday in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump gave a quick statement, which included, in part, in addition to saying this is a persecution and all that, which is all true, he actually slid in a little slam of what Democrats have done to Washington, D.C., and I thought this was...
this kind of came out of left field. It was like off topic a little bit.
It did, but I guess he had driven through the town and said, man, this place sucks now.
It's a dump.
It's just a dump.
This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Washington, D.C. hasn't had its problems in the past.
No.
With crime and poverty and all of that. when you've got some of the richest people in the world concentrated in the district as well. It's really a shame what's happened there. But it's gotten substantially worse, obviously, since 2020. And you know, the city council seems hell-bent on making it even worse by trying to pass a crime bill that makes a lot of crime basically legal. Congress actually had to step in and intervene and say, no, you can't, no, we're not going to do this. Because even though all these Democrats will say, yes, D.C. needs to be a state, they also have to work in D.C., and they don't want to get carjacked.
No.
And that's really what it comes down to. However, that statement on the part of the former president got CNN's Anderson Cooper's panties in a twist. He was very upset. How dare you, Mr. President?
We should point out when the former president left office and left Washington, D.C., the city was on lockdown because of the attack on January 6th. That is the city he left behind.
You know, let's talk to family members of those who've been murdered in Washington, D.C., or the victims of, like, 13-year-old carjackers, and ask them how much they care about the Capitol riot.
Well, can you stay on topic and stop flogging that dead horse?
Yeah.
Anytime you drag that out. I mean, Trump said what's obvious to everyone who goes there.
Right.
Okay, he said it out loud. Now, you can debate whether it was appropriate for him to say it or not. That's fine. But you got to drag that January 6th horse out there and just keep beating it.
Yeah.
Golly, you got anything else? Really?
No. And yeah, again, it's, you know, he makes this sort of casual aside like, man, this is terrible what Democrats have done to this city. And, you know, for all these people who complain about whataboutism, I mean, that was the ultimate whataboutism.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, what about the riot at the Capitol? Okay. Yeah. I mean, what about the fact that you got like 11-year-olds carjacking people? I mean, that's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Insanity.
Yeah. But you got to try to get your digs in whenever you can, I guess. Also, on the topic of the arraignment, Biden's former press secretary, Jen Psaki, who is now a talking head and show host on MSNBC, revolving door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to get to the bottom of things. She really gave away the game when it comes to what all these indictments really are against Donald Trump. It's a public humiliation of a guy the professional political class doesn't like. That's what's happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And so here is Jen Psaki basically gloating about the fact that, well, her former boss's top opponent in 2024 is facing so many legal charges.
And I think there was this expectation that it would be a circus, or I had that expectation. It really wasn't outside of the courthouse, a circus. And that speaks to how much things have changed in some ways over the last couple of years for the good. In part, I think, because of the efforts by the Department of Justice to go after the Oath Keepers and disincentivize this type of gathering. But the other thing that struck me, Chris, is that as much
disincentivize is a good way of saying locking up political prisoners. But anyway,
much as we didn't see in the courtroom, and as you noted in your opening, there were a lot of developments that came out of it that I think were surprising. I mean, Trump was treated like a teenager in some ways, not a 77-year-old former president, but also that just listening, he seemed smaller in some ways to me.
Yep. That's what they want. I mean, I'm glad there wasn't a huge presence outside of the courthouse, and I think it's because enough people realize, oh my gosh, if one person gets out of hand, we're all going to prison.
You're going to jail. Yeah.
So, yeah, in that case, when they say to dissuade Oath Keepers and whatnot, no, man, the government, the Biden administration has really made it very clear that they will not tolerate dissent. And if you dissent, they will figure out a way to make your life a living hell. So it's not like, oh, Trump is small and all this stuff, whatever. But again, the whole game here is the ritual humiliation of Donald Trump. That's what they want. That's the only way that they can see moving forward here. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris does a good job of humiliating herself. She did an event with the Prime Minister of Mongolia, and
he did the RCA dog on her too. He cocked his head and looked at her like, "What?"
Well, she really loves the phrase "space cooperation."
3 times in 30 seconds, correct? Am I right about that? Okay, all right.
We will
Count for
discuss
yourself.
the work that we will do together to strengthen our space cooperation. You and I spoke briefly about the beginning of the next era, and for you, what that means in terms of your leadership and your vision for the future. And certainly strengthening our space cooperation would be a part of that agenda, including, of course, using our space cooperation to think about how we strengthen the economic prosperity and development of our nations.
Okay.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I mean, again, it reads left to right. It's English. The words individually you would understand. But you put all of this together and you string it out for 30 seconds like her, and it becomes perfect McGurkin. And for those of you who are new to the show, McGurkin is English. It reads left to right. But when all cobbled together, you have no idea what the person just said. And it's not you. They want you to think it's you. That you're not smart enough to know what it is they're saying, right?
Right.
Gee, if I was smarter, I could probably figure this out.
Right.
It doesn't. It's meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
None of that makes any sense.
No.
It's a garbled together, words strung together that sound important while they're being said, although they're not.
No.
Because they don't make any sense. She thinks every single thing she says is going to end up at a poster at Successories. every single thing she thinks is going to be a motivational poster at Successories.
Right.
Clueless.
Again, I still maintain the best way to acknowledge or take in a statement from Kamala Harris is to look at it like you just found a Rubik's Cube made out of peanut butter. And just don't try to solve it. Don't get your hands messy. Just say, oh my gosh, that's a Rubik's Cube made out of peanut butter.
Yes.
And then move on.
You can't. You will beating your head against the wall. And this guy, this Mongolian guy, minister of whatever, is looking at her like, this is the second in command in your country.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
They're over there saying, we're screwed if China starts messing around.
We're totally screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is a crazy story out of central Pennsylvania. A dude named John Swartz was outside his house filling up a kiddie pool for his grandchild. He went to turn off the water in his garage and startled a black bear that was going through his trash.
Oh, good. Geez.
And the cat, he's got a couple of outdoor cats, and they're all just kind of sitting around watching the bear. And the bear takes a swipe at him. You can
at the
see
cats?
No. The bear takes a swipe at the guy.
Oh, geez.
And gets him on the top of the head.
Oh.
Apparently bit him on the top of the head, but not enough to where he had life-threatening injuries. He was able to escape and get away. It was a defensive reflex on the part of the bear because it got startled, and so it just went whoom. And in the video, you can see him like just sort of spill over into the yard and then run back into his house.
Gosh,
and there's a photo of the top of his head where it looks like, I don't know if it's soap or if it's saliva that's in his hair next to a big gash in his head. Now, he did an interview. The bear hit him, scampered off. John lived, and he talked about it with Fox 56 TV. And he says he doesn't want the bear to be put down if they trap it.
Right.
He's like, no, that bear's just doing bear stuff. And here's what he said about the ordeal.
Man.
Whenever this wants to play.
I'm glad it's your equipment this time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
not mine.
That's good. Anyway, we'll try to pull that audio up here as soon as my computer starts to cooperate with it.
I will say I am advocate. I always have been an advocate of common sense bear laws.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. Those bears have a right to bear arms, right? You just,
Or the armed bears.
Did you imagine that, though? It's like middle of the night.
No.
Or not middle of the night, I guess, but it's in the evening. You're just kind of going around filling up a kiddie pool for your granddaughter.
Oh, God.
And you get into the garage, and there's this giant, 500-pound bear in there. And it just pops up to say hello.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, we'll get to that audio in just a minute here as we try to
always keep a ham sandwich in your back pocket, just in case.
Just to distract from it.
You're right, throw it out there.
All right. We got a news update on the way. This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley is on special assignment. Thank you so much for being here. So Multnomah County, that's where, for those who are unfamiliar, that's where Portland, Oregon is. That's the county in which that city resides.
Yes.
They reportedly lost more than $1 billion in income between 2020 and 2021 because residents were fleeing the state and Multnomah County in particular. You know why?
No.
Well, surging crime, homelessness, and safety concerns. Oregon Live did a data analysis. 14,000 tax filers and their dependents left Multnomah County during the first year of the pandemic in 2020 and took a record $1 billion of income with them.
Jeez.
The data showed that higher earners were more likely to leave because their jobs could be done remotely during the shutdowns, and the average income of people leaving was 14% higher than the people who left the year before. And that reverses a trend that had 15 straight years of growth. What progressives have done to that area should be criminal. They have purposefully driven that area into the ditch. Multnomah County, by the way, the health department was that's the same one, the same government entity that wanted to give out tin foil to make it easier to smoke fentanyl to drug addicts.
Yeah.
At every turn, policymakers there want to make it easier to be a criminal, to break laws out of this idea of some sort of justice for people. And look, the people who are addicted to drugs, they need help. And sometimes that help comes in the form of a jail cell, sorry to say.
You know, again, I mean, I challenge those people. Show me one metropolitan city in this country that's run by these liberal nut jobs that's doing better.
Right.
I mean, again, look at the metrics. I mean, which city is prospering because of this?
No.
None of them are.
There isn't one.
And they run people out that would normally vote against them, so they won't have any opposition.
Mm-hmm.
They can keep running and dragging these things down into a pit.
Yeah. I do like how it's framed as, well, because of the coronavirus shutdowns.
Of course.
Yeah, it didn't have anything to do with the fact that you had over 100 straight days of rioting in downtown Portland that we were told was a right-wing myth or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just acknowledge what the problem. You can't fix it till you figure out what it is.
No.
And it's not hard to figure out.
Right.
People vote with their feet in their wallets.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
It's
and if
quicker
they're able
and more
to,
effective.
And if they're unable to, then they're left in abject, crime-ridden cities.
Yeah.
Because they can't get out.
Yep.
I mean, it's just...
It's sad.
Sickening. It's
really
sad. It's really sad.
What has happened.
And it's fixable. That's the thing. It's fixable.
Yeah. I mean, it'll take a long time.
Not easily, but it's fixable. You can turn it around.
It'll take a long time. I mean, I just go back and I think about the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, talking about how Trump was a big meanie because he wanted to send federal agents to Portland to crack down on rioting. And I'm like, dude, you got people firebombing a federal courthouse. You got people trying to burn down a police building where there are people inside, including inmates.
Right. One of the big jobs is to keep your constituents safe. That's one of the big jobs.
And there wasn't really much of a crackdown until somebody tried to set up an autonomous zone outside of his condo.
Yeah, in your condo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's pathetic.
Again, when
man.
it comes to your place, then all of a sudden you recognize.
Never had to happen. Didn't have to be this way. It's so sad.
Absolutely not.
All right, I mentioned this and had a little issue with the audio, but this guy in central Pennsylvania, name is John Swartz. He was outside his house. He's filling up a kiddie pool for his granddaughter, and he goes into the garage to try to turn off the water, and boom, there's a black bear there.
Yikes.
Holy mackerel. What do you do in that situation? Well, he got tagged by the bear. Bear got him. But he was able to run away, and he lived, and he talked to Fox 56 TV about the ordeal. I think this is just he's got a pretty calm demeanor for a dude who just got bodied by a black bear, man. I mean,
felt the impact of something hitting me, and it was very quick and loud. Head hurt, and it knocked me against the wall, and little did we know till we received the video as to what happened outside. I didn't even realize I fell over the bear and continued on the sidewalk holding my head. And of course, continued into the house to retrieve a washcloth to, get on my head. I knew I had injuries and blood coming down. Very understandable as why the bear did what it did, and because I surprised it, and it didn't.
Surprised you.
It had a one way out, and it was through me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was through me, and unlike, according to YouGov, 8% of American men, I know I can't fight a full-grown bear. And
what's the percentage again?
Remember, YouGov did it, and it was 8% of men believed that they could fight a bear.
Yeah, okay.
Hand-to-hand combat and succeed.
Okay.
Yeah, there are 8% of men who are completely delusional. This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show. Biggest story of the day to me is you've got Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner, who is confirming to Tucker Carlson that, well, yeah, Joe Biden knew about what was going on in the business. Of course he did. He knew me, and I was in business with his son.
Yeah,
of course. So the central question that I think every reporter should be asking anybody associated with this White House is, why did Joe Biden say that he never had a conversation about business with his son? We know that's not true.
No.
Why did he do that? What was he hiding? What else is he hiding? We'll get to some details on that and much more. This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show. I'm David Van Camp. There's Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley on special assignment. He'll be back on Monday. So, to me, one of the biggest stories is Tucker Carlson dropping more bits from his interview with Devin Archer, this longtime friend and business partner of Hunter Biden, who has confirmed now that, yeah, Joe Biden was in on some of these meetings, and yeah, he talked about the business with Hunter. Of course he did.
Yep.
And this is something that, as we are going through the transcript of Devin Archer's testimony from earlier this week in front of House members, where he says, well, yeah, I mean, he was in on this meeting, he was in on that meeting, one of them with a Burisma official who, when that story initially broke in 2020, the Biden campaign denied. They said, we looked at his schedule, he wasn't there. Well, no, he was actually there. And the central question to me is, why would Joe Biden lie about this? And we all know why. It's because he was getting a cut of the action.
Well, of course. He's not going to admit to it. No.
There's no other reason for it. So Tucker Carlson asked him, Devin Archer, about this whole weird arrangement, this claim that Joe Biden never had any sort of conversation about business with his son.
There's no corruption here at all. This is totally normal. Joe Biden had no role whatsoever in his son's business or knowledge of it. But
right.
That seems false.
Yeah, I think that's categorically false. I think that he was aware of Hunter's business. He met with Hunter's business partners. You found a letter that illustrates that he knew me.
And he's thanking you. He's thanking you for his efforts.
So I think that was, I think
your efforts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's not factually right.
Right. So then why do you lie about it?
Well, yeah.
I mean, why isn't anybody really going to be hammering that question home? I hope somebody does. Now, the White House has been surprisingly quiet, but I think it's because of the Trump indictment and all of that. Mm-hmm. They're just hoping that completely overshadows any sort of allegation against the guy who's currently president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Biden's old press secretary, who's now an MSNBC host, Jen Psaki, she wants you to know there's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything wrong with Hunter Biden. I mean,
sure there is.
Except for, this pile of LLCs, witness testimony, whistleblower
Big guy
testimony.
Sitting next to me.
Yeah. Hunter Biden's own words.
Right, exactly.
Aside from that, there's no evidence of
here.
wrongdoing.
No.
Yeah, right.
They keep saying this.
So Jen Psaki was on a panel on MSNBC talking about this controversy, and they're saying, you know what, this has been debunked. It's been debunked. Come on.
They're also trying to tie in Hunter Biden with President Biden, not just Biden.
Of course they are, and there's no evidence of that, but they're going to keep trying because that is the argument that they They want to fuzzy the waters out there, muddy the waters, not fuzzy them, muddy the waters out there. That, by the way, is a tactic that Vladimir Putin and other authoritarian dictators use, but that's their strategic objective, to make it all seem the same.
So it's you're channeling an authoritarian dictator when you say, hey, what was Joe Biden's role in Hunter Biden's business? Which actually included the wife of the former mayor of Moscow.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about a Russian connection? Come on, man. This is what they do. This is one of the reasons why it's so upsetting when a cable outlet or any news outlet hires a former political operative to be an actual host, to be a news analyst, not as, oh, I'm going to be here speaking on behalf of the president. You know, if you want to be a commentator, I suppose that's fine. But they're making her into an anchor, into an actual person who's giving the news, and she's lying.
That's the fundamental difference here.
Yeah,
I mean, again, if you come on as a partisan hack, I mean, it's a little hard to put that on the chyron under your name. Yeah, but if that's who you are, that's okay.
Yeah,
but just stop pretending that you're anything other than that, because that's what you are. Yeah. That's the thing that irritates me.
But of course, the focus has to be, all on Donald Trump, Orange Man bad, because this indictment came down, and we got all these people out there giving these odd declarations that if Donald Trump isn't convicted, it's the end of America as we know it. Right. You're John Bolton, former national security advisor under Donald Trump, says Trump has to be convicted of the charges against him or he'll become president. Again, this is John Bolton speaking on CNN talking about Trump being indicted.
I think it's the right thing to do, but it is a modified form of Russian roulette. If Trump is convicted in one or both of the federal cases, I think that will turn things upside down. I think he could be denied the Republican nomination. He'd certainly lose the election. But if he is acquitted, or a hung jury results, which I think would be understood by most people as being the equivalent of acquittal, I think he would get the Republican nomination, and he could quite possibly win the election on the back of that. The risk is real, and I hear the exuberance I've heard it the last 24 hours, and everybody, look, the impeachment efforts against Trump failed twice to convict him. And what was the consequence of the failure? Emboldening and empowering Trump. Acquittals here would be even more devastating.
I mean, I guess as a piece of analysis, I'd say certainly, if the cases get thrown out, yeah, he's got a much better shot at winning the election. And I think it is true if he's convicted, he has no chance at winning the election.
No, of course not.
And that's really the goal here. My fear is that because there is such a flood the zone attitude from various prosecutors going after him, eventually one of these charges will stick. They're going to get him on something. And I know sometimes when I say that, people get upset, like, are you saying that it's a warranted or whatever? No, I don't think any other politician would be going through this other than Donald Trump. And it's because they have spent years bitter about the fact that he won the presidency to begin with. Mm-hmm. That being said, again, talk to the January 6th prisoners, the people who've been convicted of like trespassing and whatnot, the folks that have been held in solitary confinement for trespassing, for taking selfies in the Capitol. If the federal government wants you behind bars, they're going to figure out a way to do it, or at the very least, make your life a living hell for years. So I think eventually one of the charges probably will stick if it goes to trial. Trump's best bet is that if somehow they can make some sort of process protest and get out of it. But in D.C., that's not going to happen.
I was just going to say, you're in the wrong place.
Right. In D.C., that's not going to happen. Maybe in Florida, maybe.
There was already some sort of, it wasn't a big deal, but it was mentioned that the judge didn't refer to him as Mr. President.
No, and apparently he got mad about that.
Right. She referred to him as Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
So was that a backhanded slap in the face? Yeah, probably.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You could think that. You're already seeing it. Nothing's happened yet.
Yeah.
Of course, this is going to be,
Yeah.
It's tainted.
Yeah, he's been talking about trying to move the trial to West Virginia, and it's probably not going to happen. Honestly, I I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but Trump's best bet is really to delay this trial as long as possible until after the election in 2024.
And it seems like the judge all of a sudden now in this case wants this thing like tomorrow.
Yeah, of course they want to get this done.
I mean, they want to get it done right now.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But again, we all know what this is. It's the ritualistic humiliation of a guy that the permanent political class doesn't like. And it's a shame. It's a real shame that this is happening in this country. Meanwhile, talk about a shame that this is happening, not in this country, but to our neighbor to the north. There's a university professor has claimed that kids should see exposed adult genitalia to prepare them for the possibility of seeing a naked trans person.
Okay, again, I know we say it a lot. Sometimes it's hyperbole.
Yeah.
But this is probably the sickest thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah,
and I hear a lot of sick stuff. So anyway, go ahead.
This is journalism professor Dr. Katja Tim made this comment in a Twitter post that she shared criticizing Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines, the former University of Kentucky swimmer who has been very outspoken about the unfair advantage that biological men have when they decide to start competing against the women. Now, she teaches at the University of British Columbia, and has tweeted a video of Gaines explaining the effects of having to compete against Leah Thomas, the dude who said he was a woman. Right. In a lengthy response to the video, she tweeted, "Hey, want to know one of my all-time excellent parenting ideas?" And then, for emphasis after every word, she puts a period in there. I'm quoting her, okay? I don't misunderstand, okay, because I think this is abhorrent. But what she says is, quote, "Let little children see penises and vulvas of various ages and sizes in a casual, normalized, totally safe way.
No.
The world will thank you for it, and so will those children when they grow up."
No.
Okay, you're
a nut.
At that point, you're pro-pedophile.
You're a nut. Yeah.
That's really what it is. No, you cannot have a normalization of adults exposing themselves to children, because all you're doing is opening the door for pedophiles to do it and say, well, it's normal. I'm preparing them for the world. Their parents will thank me.
No.
This stuff is so dark, man. It's going off the deep end in a really big way.
And I would like you to explain yourself further. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, why do you want grown people to be, why do you want adults to be, flapping their hardware in front of little kids? That seems odd.
Why would you want that?
Oh, because she's pro-pedophile.
I mean, already the shelf life of a child is so short now.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And you think you want to take that away from them now. You're sick, man.
Yeah, totally sick.
Something wrong with you.
But this is nothing new with leftists in the university level. I think it's just starting to become more popularized after being beaten back a few decades ago. And I've told this story before, where in Germany after World War II, there were many lawmakers in Germany who wanted to distance themselves as much as possible from Nazi ideology for obvious reasons. Obviously, they wanted to they're trying to rebuild their country. Mm-hmm. They're trying to put the pieces back together and literally rebuilding their country, as well as trying to figure out a way forward in the aftermath of World War II.
Yes.
And so one of the things they did was they turned to the academics to show them the way, because, well, the academics were not these evil fascists. They had all these progressive ideas. And one of the ideas that they had was based off of research that was done in the 60s and maybe starting in the late 50s. But I know in the 60s and 70s it really started to catch on. One of the things that German lawmakers decided to do at the request of academics was with their foster system, which was in shambles, and obviously there were a lot of kids who had lost parents in World War II and whatnot. So they tried to figure out, okay, how can we place kids in responsible homes and whatnot? And the suggestion was actually to try out placing foster kids in the care of pedophiles, of actual pedophiles. Yeah. The theory being, from high-minded academics, the theory being that because these pedophiles might love them, they would not abuse them. Well, then years down the road, and this was written up. I always forget which magazine it was. It was like the New Yorker or New York Magazine. I can't remember which one it was that detailed all of this. It's just an incredible read to watch this. And of course, a lot of kids are speaking out. Yeah, that ruined my childhood.
Of course.
And of course, there was abuse that went on because you put me in the care of somebody who was actually a pedophile.
Right.
And then, people started pulling back because they're like, well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea to do that. Oh, gosh. I mean, I know anyone with common sense could have told you that, but academics told us. The experts told us that this was a good idea.
Good golly.
And now this same type of ideology, this sort of like weird sexual liberation thing, is rearing its ugly head again in the Western world, whether it's America, Canada, or Europe. And, boy, it is shocking. And we got to be prepared to fight against it.
No, I agree.
Because this can't happen. This cannot be normalized. Whether it's the idea that you should be having, adults expose themselves to children or have a dude in a G-string dancing in front of little kids at a drag show or at the library or whatever. We have to push back against that. Because if we don't, bad things really happen.
Let's gather a bunch of little kids and just yell at them for an hour so they'll be prepared for the workforce.
Or in some cases, marriage.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay, we got a news update on the way. Also, I really want to get to this. Someone asked Gen Zers and Millennials to list things that older generations got right, or boomer complaints they actually agree with, and there are some favorites here, and I think I agree with most, if not all of them. We'll get to that and set you up for the Friday 5 coming up on the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley's on special assignment. Thank you so much for being here. I mentioned this. Someone asked Gen Zers and Millennials to list things that older generations got right, or boomer complaints that they totally agree with. A few of the favorites here. Physical knobs, buttons, and dials are great. Not everything needs to be a touchscreen. I completely agree with that. In fact, like at least in professional terms, I don't ever want to use touchscreens again. I've used those in radio. It sucks.
I don't like them either.
What's that?
I don't like them either. I don't like them.
No, and I
don't like them at the bank ATM. I don't like them.
No, yeah, the buttons are good. Buttons are fine. They worked for a long time. It's all right. I don't ever want them in my car. I know that I probably will not get a choice at some point when my truck finally dies. But
I don't know what Fauci is financing right now in some lab somewhere that could end up on the touch screen.
Right.
Who knows with these guys?
Things should start on time, specifically concerts. There's not enough parking. Pets shouldn't be allowed in stores. I don't really mind that one, but
I don't care
whatever. Either. You don't have, or you shouldn't have to download an app for everything. And my favorite, give me a menu. I don't want to scan a QR code.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
All right, we got the Friday 5 coming up here. We'll explain why on the other end of the break, but we're doing songs with run or running in the title.
Run or running?
Yes.
Oh,
the number
wow, a lot
is
of good stuff.
210-619-2053, 210-619-2053.
Are you ready?
Jamie Markley, David Van Camp, and Scott Robbins.
We just become best friends. Yep.
Making sense of it all.
Now I get it.
And having some fun.
Lighten up, Francis.
This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show.
The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley's on special assignment, but that doesn't mean the fun on Friday stops, all right? We got the Friday 5 now, and it always starts off like this.
The countdown is on.
You know what this means?
It's our favorite time of the week.
Everybody wants to get mellow. You can get the out of here, all right?
The Friday 5.
It will test your head and your mind and your brain.
On the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show.
All right, it's the Friday 5. It's time when we take a break from the news of the day and we do a little music countdown. some sort of holiday, something in the news. Maybe we try to do a tie-in and we create a list out of it. Now, it is apparently National Go for a Jog Month, which when it's hot as hell outside, I'm not really sure how wise that might be. Maybe the indoor treadmill might be wiser, but or at least start off early in the day if you can. So we decided let's do songs with run or running in the title.
There you go.
Run or running in the title. And how do we put this list together? Well, there's 3 criteria. 1, how big of a hit is the song? 2, does it stand the test of time? And then 3, how much do you personally like it? There you personal stereo that thing, right? And so then we add up the scores and we come up with a list. And this is a solid list. I think some things got left out, one song in particular. But
let me ask you.
Yeah.
Before we start this, how many songs did you and I have in common?
Let me look at this. We had.
I was thinking maybe none, but
we had 3.
Okay. Oh well.
3 songs in common, not in the same order though. Okay. So I think the list is a little jacked up, but I'm not as mean as Jamie, so I'm going to give you a pass on that one.
Yeah, wow.
Let's start off. I'll give out the phone number here first. 210-619-2053 if you want to join in the fun. 210-619-2053. Let's start off with Chris. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Dave, Scott, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Well, good. Hey, Dave, I don't know, I worked with you here in Missouri. It's about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember what I rolled into the parking lot every day at the radio station, too, but...
Hello.
You want to take a guess?
I'm going to guess it's metal.
Yeah, you'd be right. It's Iron Maiden, Run to the Hill.
Yeah, man, making Central Missouri proud there. And then eventually Chris did run for the hills and decided to get a job outside of that radio station.
Yeah. Hell.
You know, I really tried to justify putting this into my top 5. I mean, it's an iconic song. I love the song, but it just didn't quite make it there.
I like the song, too. I do like the song.
Without Jamie's influence here, it had no chance at making the top 5, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is less of a black T-shirt countdown than usual.
This is the sophisticated crowd calling in here. All right.
That's right.
It's the Friday 5 here on the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins show. We're doing top 5 songs with run or running in the title. Let's go to Uncle Schultzy.
Yeah, gentlemen, happy Friday. I was thinking long and hard about a good song for the Friday 5, and it kind of hit me, kind of like a water bottle made out of metal thrown by a homeless junkie in downtown Portland. I'm going to go with Running with the Devil by Van Halen.
Well, that's a good guess, and I hope you got your stitches ready. Here we go.
Number 2.
Now, this one was my personal number 1. I love the song. That's an iconic song. It's never gone away.
The thing, there are some songs when you hear it for the first time, you never forget where you were. Mm-hmm. And I was driving to work. I worked at a radio station. That was 1978. I was just working at a radio station. We weren't playing it at the time, but I had a radio station on. I was listening to it. This thing came on. I'm like, who is that guitar player? Yeah. Holy smokes. I mean, the production on that record, wow.
It sounds good. It's driving. It is. Yeah, it's fun.
There's some great riffage, as they would say. Yes.
All right, it's the Friday 5. Top 5 songs with run or running in the title. We've got number 2, Van Halen. Still looking for numbers 1, 3, 4, and 5. Let's talk to John. Hey, John.
Hey, gentlemen. Greetings from Deep Blue, Connecticut. How are you doing?
Oh, good.
Great. That story, by the way, about the gentleman in Pennsylvania that ran off from the bear.
Yeah. Yes.
He is actually not out of danger because he was smart enough on the local Fox affiliate not to mention his football affiliation. When interviewed with Waters, he did reveal that he's a Cowboys fan in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
He's in real jeopardy now.
That's right. Yeah. So I do hope he knows how to run. Anyway, that brings me to my list. Once again, you're forcing me into my Pink Floyd B list, and until you have a Friday 5 that looks for songs with cigar in the title, I got to go with something from the Wall. Run Like Hell.
Yeah. Now, I might figure out a reason to just put together a countdown with Cigar in the title, because Have a Cigar is, like, in my personal top 5 favorite Pink Floyd songs.
Yeah, we could play it 5 times that day.
There you go. Yeah, let's just play that on a loop.
Because I can't think of another one off the top of my head, right?
All right, the Friday top 5 songs with Run or Running in the title. We've only got number 2 so far with Van Halen, Running with the Devil. Let's talk to CD.
Hey, gentlemen, and use that term loosely.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, because everybody, and thanks for another above-average job this week. It really helps.
Thank you.
I did want to throw out one thing about those 87,000 IRS agents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to need them for the Biden crime family.
No kidding.
Just kidding. Yeah, that's what's the other
Joe
7,000 going to do?
All right. Well, I went with one of my old-time classics, Jackson, Running on Empty.
Yeah, Jackson Brown.
Number 3.
I like that song. That's an iconic song, and it is a total test of timer.
You know, the interesting thing about that is it was recorded live.
Yeah, that whole album.
And it wasn't on a live album.
Yeah.
Some of it was recorded in hotel rooms and other things, but it was, that was recorded live. That's a tight live band, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a cool, I like that album for road trips a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds good. It's an interesting thing. And like you said, some of those songs were recorded just in the hotel room, whatever.
Yeah.
But they did it was like the one take kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a good Casey Kasem note, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, back to the countdown. It's the Friday top 5 songs with Run or Running in the title. Let's talk to Marty. Hey, Marty.
Hey there. How you guys?
Good. What you got, Marty? What are you bringing?
Well, hey, I really feel your pain with all this Biden BS. So when Trump gets into office, I think that the Bidens will be the band on the run. Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Number 4.
I couldn't believe this didn't even make your personal 5, Scott.
Yeah, I had a hard time leaving it out, too, because I do like it, and I do like the album.
It's a big song, and
it's a test of timer.
It is a test of timer. I like the song. That was my number 2, my personal. But, yeah, it made it in the top 5 at least, thanks to me.
I don't know if my number 1's even going to get guessed, but maybe. Maybe it will. So it's the Friday 5. Top 5 songs with Run or Running in the title. So far, we've ticked off Van Halen at number 2, Jackson Brown at number 3, and now Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run, at number 4. We're still looking for numbers 1 and 5 here. Let's talk to Woody. Hey, Woody.
Hey, guys. Love your show. A friend of mine who lives in Amsterdam told me to go to Subway Sandwich and order the Lizzo.
Don't do that.
So I did. But when they reached for the banana, I got squeamish and got the heck out of there.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, my song, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not the right one. I'm going to let you have your moment there. You could make the argument that Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, would be in the top 5.
Bruce
Springsteen's a bad guy.
I understand that.
Overrated.
I do my best to compartmentalize and separate.
Well,
but that album in 1975, that album was so big. I played the 8-track tape of that over and over and over again.
He always lays his head on his pillow, knowing he will never be as good as Bob Seger. And he can't even write a song as catchy or good as Kid Rock. So, I mean,
I would say in terms of test of time, Bob Seger is way out in front of Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Seger's stuff is all over the radio.
Oh, absolutely it is.
To this day.
It's everywhere, yeah. All right, it's the Friday 5, top 5 songs with Run or Running in the title. Still looking for numbers 1 and 5. The number is 210-619-2053. We'll wrap it up next. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins, Jamie Markley on special assignment. We're doing the Friday 5, the countdown we do every week at this time. Doing songs with run or running in the title. The top 5 songs with run or running in the title. And so far, we've gotten number 2, Van Halen, Running with the Devil. Number 3, Jackson Browne, Running on Empty. And number 4, Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run. We're still looking for numbers 1 and 5 here.
Wow, man.
Yeah, the number is 210-619-2053. Let's start off. We got a couple of Marys on the line. We'll knock these out. Let's start with Mary in Delaware. Hey, Mary.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Hey, hi, Mary. Happy Friday.
Hello. So today I'm going to go with one of my favorite artists, who is Tom Petty, and Running Down a Dream.
Yes. Yes.
Number 1.
I'm running down a dream. Never would come to me.
Mary's going to have a great weekend. Back to her number 1 guessing ways. This was number 1 on the strength of Scott Robbins.
Gosh, I love this song. I love this song. And when you're driving, you're like all of a sudden you're going 90. You don't know why.
Well, yeah, you're trying to run down that dream, right?
It just comes, man. It's just
you can't run down the dream at 55, man.
Great song.
You got to be going faster than that.
Oh, I know.
All right, so that was number 1. We just have number 5 left. Let's talk to our other Mary on the line. Hey, Mary.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm a little bit upset right now, though, because I've been trying to get through, and that dang Mary picked my song that I was going to say, and
oh no,
it's number 1. So, but anyway, cheers to Mary in Delaware. Okay, so I don't know if this will make your top 5, but it's a great old song, one of my favorites over the years. Take It on the Run. Oh, and hat tip to my brother Frank, because we always play our game texting back and forth with our guesses, and he came up with this one, Take It on the Run.
Just personal like score on some others. It's like it's high for that song, but not as high as the others that I had in my top 5. Let's talk to Jason. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how you doing from Alaska?
Oh,
hey, Anchorage. How you doing, man? Good.
Pretty good, thanks. Hey, I was just out on a nature hike, and I saw a man in a bear suit running through the jungle by CCR.
There you go.
Yeah. The sound of this song is so good, man. This is one of those mood songs.
Oh yeah. So swampy.
Yeah.
Bunch of guys from California. It's like they're right out of the bayou, man. I
mean, love that song, man.
Yep.
Love it. Let's talk to Derek. Hey, Derek.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, man.
Hey.
What you got?
Just want to say thanks for what you guys do. Listen to you guys every day, and
thank you.
Make my day great.
So, thank you.
Well, I'm going to go with what the Biden Mafia has been apparently doing for years, and that's Steve Miller Band, Take the Money and Run.
Yeah.
There
You would think that would be in the top 5, right?
I love this song.
A huge song. It's a tested timer. It's fun. It didn't make it because Scott didn't vote for it.
I should have, too.
I cannot believe this didn't make the
I know,
top
because
5.
I have this on like a personal mix, too. I like the song that much. Ooh, yeah! My favorite part.
That's worth it just to hear you do the ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah!
I mean, I love that song because, I mean, it's one of those timeless songs. It just feels, it sounds good coming out of the radio speakers. It's something that you can sing along to. It's toe tapping. And also, it gets in and gets out. It does exactly what it needs to do, tells the story, and you're done.
It's like all Steve Miller songs, about 3 minutes.
Yep, exactly.
He gets it done.
It's perfect, right?
Yep.
All right, we're still looking for number 5 here, and this was number 5 on the strength of Scott Robbins.
Okay.
This is what may have booted Steve Miller, but anyway, let's talk to Derek. Hey, Derek.
Derek.
You there?
Yeah, man. What you got?
No, I just told you.
Oh, you did just tell me. I'm sorry. I don't usually run the board and the phones and all that stuff on it. Anyway,
was he take the money and run?
He was taking the money and run.
Oh, okay.
I Fettermaned that. You know,
Okay.
you did. Thanks. All right, let's talk to Terry. Hey, Terry, that's who I meant to talk to.
Hey, this is Terry from Ocean View, Delaware, and I want to give a shout-out to Mary in Fenwick Island, who beats me in every week.
There you go.
And she had my first pick. But anyway, hey, Slow Joe was here this week on vacation, and I saw in the news he visited Brandon Falls while he was here.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's a historical landmark.
Did Brandon fall?
Historical landmark.
Yeah.
Brandon Falls. So anyway, hey, my pick is the Eagles, the long run.
There you go. Yeah, that run or running in the title, Tom Petty, Van Halen, Jackson Browne, Paul McCartney, and Eagles. This is the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. Biggest story of the day. To me, it's more confirmation that Joe Biden has lied repeatedly about what he knew Hunter Biden was doing, running around the world making all these business deals overseas. And we know for a fact he lied when he said, I never discussed business with my son. And he did, in fact, do it. And Hunter Biden's old business partner actually confirmed that he did.
Maybe that's the way around it. He didn't talk to him with him, but the other guys are on the phone and talk to him about it.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe that's your workaround. I don't know.
So we got an update on that and much more. And the big trifecta. Scott Robbins' top 3 stories of the day. Coming up next on the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There is Scott Robbins. Jamie Markley's on special assignment. You just alerted me to something, Scott.
Yes.
You didn't even tell me to bring my salad tongs today, but...
No, I didn't, but every day Kamala Harris gives us a gift worth giving, and she did it again today.
Well, she's talking about community banks. I've got the audio ready to go here.
I think before you play it, though, let's just stress, it's about community banks, okay?
You might not get that if you don't know the crucial context here. You have to introduce it that way. That's very professional of you, because otherwise you may not know the context of what Kamala Harris is talking about.
That's right.
All right.
And as the name suggests, community banks are in the community. They understand the needs of the people they serve. They understand the capacity and the opportunity, such as the capacity and the opportunity of this community, that big banks often overlook or just don't get.
Oh, my gosh.
Community banks serve communities that they're in because they're community banks. Yeah. All right, then.
I am just dumbfounded every day. And, apparently, and I've been told this, that she actually has people that are coaching her.
Yeah.
I mean, that they're like round-the-clock coaching is going on.
But
they need to be fired because this is brutal.
Man, I just think there are some people who are not coachable.
That's possible.
I mean, it is true. I never want to give a message to anybody that, you should give up on something, but, try your best, and sometimes you're just not, you're not cut out for it. Sometimes you're just not going to make it. It's an interesting strategy having her more visible in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And I think it's because Joe's kind of in hiding because he doesn't want to answer any questions about what his crackhead son was doing, running around, and now we have evidence that, no, he was in on the discussions about the business that Hunter was doing, which he has lied about. And so, they'll put him up there, they'll do a little speech or whatever, but she seems to be out there really a little bit more. She's on the campaign trail. She's giving speeches about how important to communities community banks are, because community banks are in communities, and they serve those communities as banks, because they're community banks.
This weekend, folks, if you drink a lot of booze, once you've drank enough booze, what she says is going to start making sense to you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to sound just like her when you talk.
Well, there you go.
That's the best part.
Well, you'll actually sound like a perfect combination of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because you'll be slurring a lot, and you may drop a word here and there. You may drop in any way, give up on the sentence here and there.
Golly, man.
But you will absolutely understand the brilliance of Kamala Harris talking about community banks, which serve communities that they're in, because they are banks that serve communities. Hence the name Community Bank.
And you live in those communities where the banks serve the communities.
And the banks live in those communities as well.
That's right.
Yeah. I saw this. This just made me laugh out loud. So have you heard any of the controversy with the New York Times going on? And this gets a little deep in the weeds if you haven't followed the story. So activists have been singing an old anti-apartheid rallying song called "Kill the Boer," which is "Kill the white farmers." It's literally a call to murder white people.
Yeah,
and of course, at the time the song was sung, there's context and all of that stuff. It's rich though because the New York Times covered it, saying the song fuels backlash in South Africa and the U.S. Right-wing commentators claim that an old anti-apartheid chant is a call to anti-white violence, but historians and the left-wing politician who embraces it say it should not be taken literally. It's so fascinating to me that we just got through with the national conversation about Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town.
Small Town, yeah.
And how that was a pro-lynching, oh my gosh. When there's nothing about lynching, it's basically saying, yeah, if you go to a small town and you try to riot or burn down a business, you're going to face some opposition.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing about killing anybody, but that's how it was portrayed in the media. But now you have a chant that literally says, kill people, and we need to contextualize it.
Right.
And I'm fine with contextualization. I'm fine if you want to have the conversation about it. But, man, the drive to put things into historical context only goes one way. Now, Elon Musk, who's from South Africa, tweeted out a screen grab of the article, and he said the New York Times actually has the nerve to support calls for genocide. If ever there was a time to cancel that publication, it is now. And then this is the stroke of genius. You can read their articles for free anyway using removepaywall.com. It's a website that you put in the URL for whatever article you want to read. Again, that's removepaywall.com. And it'll bring up an archive version of it so you can get around the paywall.
Yeah.
And
I never knew that existed.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you,
also
Elon.
a Google Chrome extension that you can purchase. It's a one-time fee. And then, you never have to worry about paying for articles ever again. And so the biggest guy on Twitter just told everybody, here's how you read their articles for free. I love that.
That's good.
I love that. It's like, I'll start paying for it when you guys stop being left-wing hacks. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
Let's make that deal. All right? Actually, that's not true. I won't pay for the New York Times.
You're not paying for that.
I refuse
That's a lie.
All right, are you ready for your big trifecta,
Yeah, let's
Scott?
go.
All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Are you ready?
1, 2, buckle my shoe on.
It's the 3 most important news stories of the day.
I hit the trifecta.
Well, at least according to Scott Robbins. It's the trifecta on the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show.
All right, it's the trifecta. Top 3 stories of the day, according to Scott Robbins. We count them down 3-1, the way that Scott's hero, Casey Kasem, taught him how to count.
And if he were here, he would, but he's not. He's with Markley.
Well, no, he vacations with Markley.
Yeah.
We had a falling out years ago. It was messy. We were both drunk a little bit, and I wish he would forgive me, but he won't, and so.
Well, we refused to do your long distance dedication because he thought it was weird.
He won't do it. Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a soft spot for Cher, okay? I'm not afraid to talk about it, and I wish that Casey Kasem would have passed along my message to her.
That's right.
All right. So it's the trifecta top 3. And this one goes from David to a woman named Cher. All right. Number 3, single and childless adults are less happy.
This is interesting. Married couples, and by the way, if you're married, you may tilt your head a little bit, are happier than single and childless adults. I think the key word here is childless. This according to research from the University of Chicago. A new paper, economists there, found that the married population is over 30 points happier. That's significant. Than the unmarried, and that number has hardly changed since 1970. Marital status is and has been a very important marker for happiness. He based his academic paper on data from the General Social Survey. That and having a child or children.
Well, yeah, because even if you take out any sort of religious or spiritual aspect of marriage and child rearing, we have a biological drive to reproduce.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, you're not fulfilling that very basic biological drive. And we need companionship. And I'll tell you this, as a parent of 2 young kids, it's hard, it's stressful. My kids just started daycare, and I'm the guy who drops them off and picks them up. And it's been very stressful over the last week or so, but it's awesome watching them grow mentally and physically, and you feel like you're building something, an extension. You're responsible for raising a life, for doing something that's not just about you. You know, there's only so much you can do for yourself.
I think about that when you say that, because when my daughter started daycare, I did morning radio, so her mom dropped her off, and then I picked her up on the way home because I was early enough. Mm-hmm. And she would come around the corner just running.
Yeah.
And give me the biggest hug. And we just, those are those moments, man, where you're going through it, and it doesn't last forever. There's a small window there, but it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, yesterday, baby Chuck has been, my daughter has been struggling because mom's been stay at home for all of her life until now.
Until recently.
And so, yeah, it's it's sad dropping them off in the morning because they're bumming. They don't really, they're not in the groove just yet. It's only been a little more than a week. But yeah, yesterday I went to go pick her up, and she saw me, had this bright smile on her face, and she was giving people high fives on her way out. My daddy's here, giving people high fives on the way out. And I was like, you're kind of showboating right now, aren't you?
Yeah, well,
you're like, suckers, you guys have to stay here. My dad came.
Your dad probably isn't even coming.
Yeah, right. But it's not surprising, back to the survey, that people who grow up childless, and people who have children, I include step-parents in that, of course.
Well, that's what I am.
My stepfather, very important figure in my life, and you're technically a stepfather, but you're a dad.
Yeah. He calls me dad.
Yeah. Watching a little human growing up is something that you really can't describe, and you can't replicate that.
No, you can't.
And
those, it's just, time just goes by so fast.
Yeah.
It really does. So
all right, but enough about that.
All right.
It's the trifecta, top 3 stories of the day.
Let's get back down to the stuff that makes you crazy.
There you go. Top 3 stories of the day, according to Scott Robbins. We're down to number 2. A mug of Dark Brandon is on sale now. This is the stupid meme that the Biden camp has come up with,
where they made him look like a superhero with his aviators on.
Yeah, but in this one, it's like he's got the glowing eyes. He looks like a super villain.
Right. And like shooting lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah.
Fundraising, I guess, is kind of slow right now for the old Democrats, without telling us it's slow. One indication, though, is a little video that was posted on Joe Biden's X account, formerly known as Twitter, hawking a piece of campaign merchandise. Joe Biden, again, embracing his inner Dark Brandon. He takes a sip from a coffee mug with an image of him in sunglasses and the text 2024, including his eyes colored red. Team Biden, by the way, thinks this is clever. Biden thinks this is cool. Normal people think it looks really creepy, like me when I saw it.
Yeah.
It will cost you $22 for this particular piece of campaign merch.
Mm-hmm.
You can also go on and buy more merch, for instance. T-shirts featuring the joke after his 2024 re-election campaign. The Dark Brandon stuff is on those as well. So it's for sale. Everything's for sale. The tour shirts are available right now. And you can pick up your own Dark Brandon for $22 and drink your coffee out of it. Just like the president does every day.
They've been pushing that for a while, and the Dark Brandon thing is not really catching on.
It never caught on, dude.
Because it's stupid.
It's really stupid, and nobody believes it.
I don't know how many, I can't even tell you how many Let's Go Brandon T-shirts and bumper stickers and flags that I've seen going around, because it was funny.
One.
Yeah. Actually, near my studios, I drive by it every day. There's a guy who has a big flag mounted on his truck, and it actually doesn't even say "Let's Go Brandon." It just says "Bleep Joe Biden." But a little more forward on that. I've never seen anyone with the Dark Brandon thing. Maybe somebody out there is doing it, but man, they're trying so hard.
And sometimes Hollywood does this. Like they'll force something on you. You're going to like this. You have to like this, and you just don't.
Right. All right, it is the trifecta top 3 stories of the day, according to Scott Robbins. I can't wait to hear the details of this. Number 1, Taylor Swift killed someone or is a murderer or what happened?
I mean, I've said this before. I'll say it again. We live in dumb times. The LA Times, by the way, is warning that Taylor Swift concerts may be a health hazard because of COVID.
No.
Yes.
Are you joking?
I am not. Could Taylor Swift's tour have fans seeing red on their next COVID test? Some have gotten it earlier at some of her concerts. It's unclear right now whether they played a huge impact on transmission, but it's definitely going up.
Oh, my gosh.
But don't be completely shocked if infection happens to you after attending a Taylor Swift concert.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's insanity.
They've talked themselves into hysteria. A lot of people in news, a lot of people who've been following COVID, where that became their big identity. I keep seeing all the news about the hospitalization's up 12%. Like, who cares?
Right.
Nobody cares anymore.
It's just, the no fun police are them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's them.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to a Taylor Swift concert, you're going to come down with COVID and die.
Yeah. I'm sure all of those 20 and 30-somethings in the audience are really at a high risk of having bad effects from COVID, huh?
They don't even know what that newspaper is. They don't know what a newspaper is.
That's absolutely
Shut up.
true. All right, That's the trifecta top 3 stories of the day, according to Scott Robbins. Got a news update and Nimrods in the news coming up right here on the Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. The Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show. I'm David Van Camp. There's Scott Robbins. Shamie Markley's on special assignment. He'll be back on Monday. Thank you so much for putting up with us every single day. So we don't have time to get into all the audio here, but Nancy Pelosi, former House Speaker, still current representative, was asked about the possibility of an impeachment of Joe Biden. And she's saying, well, wait a minute. When we impeached Donald Trump, we did it very carefully and methodically, and nobody wanted to go down that road.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the January 6th Commission, everyone there was serving as a patriot and not there to perform.
Golly.
Oh, please, man.
I know, right.
On day 1, Adam Kinzinger and Adam Schiff both cried.
Yep.
Not there for a performance. Give me a freaking break. All right, it's time for Nimrods in the news.
Yeah, I know.
When the going gets tough,
damn it, this is too hard.
the dumb get dumber.
All right, Dean.
It's Nimrods in the news on Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins Show.
I love the poorly educated.
Nimrod's in the news, and we go to Florida here, Middletown, Florida, to be specific. A man there was arrested after leading police on a high-speed chase, and at the time, he was driving a Google Street View car. You've seen those vehicles, right? They're mounted with a bunch of 360-degree cameras.
Yeah, right.
One running from the cops initially, but then it led him on a high-speed chase. And so, if you live in Middletown, Florida, and your house is a blur on Google Street View, that's why.
That's good.
That's Nimrod's in the news.